Good morning guys, this is MuscledRider and welcome back to the channel. We are on the Yamaha YZF R15 version 3. This bike belongs to Omka, who is riding my Domina, and he is right there behind me. So this bike belongs to him, and it's my first time I'm riding this motorcycle. So I thought I should not miss an opportunity to tell you something what is new on this channel. So we are seeing the R15 version 3 for the first time on our channel. So, and even I am riding it for the first time. So it's time to tell you guys how I feel about this bike. So yeah, let's start with my first ride impressions of the Yamaha YZF R15 version 3. Right now we are on the Palm Beach road, cruising on 6th gear at around 70 kmph, and let me get to the first lane and we are going to open the throttle wide. Let's see how the torque kicks in and the VVT works. So yeah, it's a bit lagging in the mid-range, then in the top end, yeah, entering the top end, and here we go, the VVT kicks in. And yeah, so basically the power which you get on the R15 is at the top end, and once you kick into the top end, the VVT kicks in, that is the variable valve timing. So basically in what happens in VVT is there are basically two cam profiles. So let me explain it you in the easier words. Whenever you see a Honda car, you might see VTEC written behind in the Honda car. So the VVT is nothing different than the VTEC. It's just the Yamaha way of saying the VTEC. So what actually happens in the VVT is, once the VVT kicks in, once you get to the higher revs in the R15, there are two cam profiles. Once you get to the higher revs, the other cam profile which supplies more fuel to the cylinder, which provides more air and more fuel to the cylinder, if I'm not wrong, gets activated, and you get a top end rush kind of thing. Look, I am in the 5th, now shifting to the 4th. Look, the VVT kicks in. So yeah, the Yamaha YZF R15 version 3 produces about 18 to 19 horsepower and about 15 Newton meters of torque, and this is the by far most committed motorcycle I have ridden in the 150cc class. First thing which I notice as I hop onto the R15 version 3, the motorcycle is committed. You get a rear set foot pegs which are positioned very high, which give you a committed feel and give you a feel that you are connected with a motorcycle. And the tank and the handlebar, the clip-on handlebar, which are designed to carve the corners rather than to munch the miles. So this bike is best for spirited riding, spirited weekend ridings. एक बार try करते हैं. This bike is so damn compliant on the corners. So everything about this motorcycle is so committed. The seating position, the engine, the way the engine behaves. I mean, the power is located at the top end of the engine. Everything is so committed, and so racy and so sporty. This is basically not a motorcycle you would like to go for touring on. This is basically a sport riding motorcycle for spirited Sunday rides, weekend rides on the canyons, and maybe even on the track days. Even though we don't have much of a track day culture in India, but still on the track days. This was about the seating position of the R15, the engine characteristics of the R15. One more to talk about the engine characteristic of the R15 is the engine is totally refined. After all, it's an Yamaha engine, and here we are entering into corner. So yeah, this is what I was talking about. This is the motorcycle you would love to ride on the corners. This motorcycle is much like the RC200 from the KTM. Its closest competitor is the CBR 150R, which haven't received any update since ages. So it's worthless to compare with the CBR 150R, and CBR 150R is not as committed as this new R15. So this bike goes a little bit closer to the KTM's RC200, lane changing without an indicator. That is not a good thing. So yeah, and then again going to that, yeah. So this is close to the KTM's RC200, and the RC200 cost a bit more than the Yamaha R15, but yeah, still it's a good motorcycle. So this was about the engine and the seating position on the Yamaha R15. Now coming to the design. Now design is totally a subjective part. Some might like the design, some might hate the design, but 90% of the guys who love sport motorcycles, too bumpy, the suspension is too bumpy, damn, oh, not meant for the bad roads. I'm just, yeah, as you saw, I was just hopping on that bumps. The suspension is stiff, as you would like to take the corners. Take the positive part of the suspension, not the negative first. So it is made to take the corners, to cover the corners, and it is not made to off-road. So I was talking about the looks. The looks are totally subjective. Some might like, some might hate it, but 90% of the guys who love sport motorcycles will love the looks of the Yamaha R15 version 3. I mean, there is nothing to hate about the looks of the Yamaha R15 version 3. So you get a sharp head at the front, which is purposely meant to improve the area of the motorcycle, and then the motorcycle follows the nose down and tail up design, which you particularly see on every other sport bikes. The tail is the most interesting part on the Yamaha version 3 R15. The tail is inspired from the YZF R1, the flagship leader class motorcycle from the Yamaha stable. So the tail portion of the R15 is inspired from the Yamaha R1, and yeah, it looks beautiful. After riding for a while, you get a bit of a pressure on your palms. The seat height is not too high and too low for a rider. I am short, 5 feet 3 inches, and still I can manage to touch both my legs on the ground. Yeah, I am a bit tiptoeing, but still I can manage to touch the legs on the ground. This was about the seat height, but I think the pillion might not be so happy to to ride with you because the rear seat is almost negligible. It is definitely not meant for the pillion. I mean, you are meant to ride this motorcycle solo, and you are not meant to ride this motorcycle with a pillion. And if you are riding this motorcycle spiritedly, definitely the pillion won't be happy with your riding skills and definitely won't appreciate it either. Yeah, you would love to ride it solo, पीछे बैठ के दूसरे पिलियन को पीछे बैठ के घुमाने को नहीं मज़ा आएगा ये मोटरसाइकिल पे, और उसको भी मज़ा नहीं आएगा. Rather, even you won't be enjoying your ride. So that was about the pillion comfort. Even the pillion doesn't get a grab rail to hold to his life. So yeah, अकेले चला. This was about the riding comfort and about the pillion comfort. Now coming to the instrument cluster. The instrument cluster gives a lot of information. You get a speedometer in kmph, kilometer per hour. You get a RPM bar and climbs beautifully as you rev towards the red line. You get a RPM bar. You get a gear position indicator. You get a trip meter. You get a odometer. I have heard about this thing, that this motorcycle can read your name when you start your motorcycle. Don't quote me wrong for this. Even gets a shift light. The gear position is really handy for a motorcycle. Even the Domina doesn't get a gear position indicator, so it's a good thing this motorcycle gets a gear position indicator, and it even gets a shift light. One more interesting thing about the motorcycle is you get an indicator as you climb high in the rev range. The VVT kicks in. Wait, I will show you. I hope I get a clear way to show you. So revving the motor and look at the console, you will find a VVT. Look at this. Now the VVT kicks in and you get a massive grunt from the engine and massive pull from the engine. So yeah, this is what I was talking about. The power which you get on the R15 is located at higher revs in the RPM range. If you're following the channel, you might know I even had an CBR 250R. I don't have it anymore, so I even had a CBR 250R. So that was a sport motorcycle, so I'm getting all that memories refreshed from the CBR 250R. Although the CBR 250R was not this much committed as this one, this is a bit more sporty than the CBR 250R. The seating position, the seating position is a bit more relaxed on the CBR. You get a bit more higher handlebars, and this one gets a bit more lower clip-ons and bit more higher foot pegs. The braking is really good, even though it doesn't have an ABS. So yeah, now the version 3 gets an ABS, but this particular model doesn't have an ABS. But yeah, it's okay. You actually need an ABS, but still, if you're an old rider, you can manage without an ABS. Riding through the traffic is not much of a problem, even if it's a fared motorcycle, because it is light in weight and you can move and you can filter easily on this motorcycle. Riding the Domina in the traffic is not that easy as this motorcycle feels, because of the weight, of course. There is a random work going on in the middle of the road. Brakes are good. Again, second time observed, checked. Absence of ABS is not felt much. This bike even gets an slipper clutch. I can't really feel the radiator fan kicked in. which is a good thing and doesn't get irritating as the KTM RC twins or the Duke twins. But I have heard that currently the KTM twins have improved their heat dissipation. The clutch is good, so you can always downshift. So yeah, it even gets an slip and assist clutch for the serious corners. Before you enter the corners, you can just dump down the gears 2 or 3 and you can release the clutch without any hesitation of rear wheel locking. Mirrors offer a decent view. I still can see my shoulders and elbows are blocking my rear view, but yeah, mirrors offer a decent rear view. As we found riding this motorcycle, I have ridden this motorcycle for a very short time, for around 30 kilometers from Navi Mumbai to Mumbai, and I can say that this motorcycle is best suited for sport riding rather than touring. But yeah, it will do a decent job of commuting because of its lightweight and nimbleness. You can ride this motorcycle in the city and you can definitely filter with this motorcycle. But this motorcycle is best suited for spirited ridings, for cornerings rather than touring. So these were my first ride impressions of the Yamaha YZF R15, and this might differ from person to person. So yeah, hopefully you found this video useful and hopefully you like this video. So till we meet next time, ride safe, drive safe, and meet you in the next vlog.